What's going on, guys? Brand new episode of Fins Up Talk. As always, it's for the fans, by the fans, to the fans. Here with my great co-host, Chad Snyder, rocking that Dolphins gear, man. That it's on point. I was saying right before we started, the swag is there. I got to get it together. I'm wearing my Miami Heat shirt, but I got to get it together, man. I got to get my Dolphins gear.
Hey, you're representing, brother. Look, perfect excuse to literally go through the closet full of Dolphins gears, Dolphin hats. I got way too many hats to count, so I'm trying to rock it. But every now and then I gotta bust out the fresh cut. So we'll see what it's looking like. You know what I mean? But you look clean, Juan. You look clean.
I appreciate you, brother. I mean, this is a special week here. It's our second episode this week. I hit up Chad today, guys, and I said, Chad, we got to get on another podcast. He hit some points on that last episode that just left me thinking, and I'm like, man, I got to do some homework here because that made too much sense. When you mentioned Mike McDaniels and what could have been different, and you alluded to the Tyreek Hill trade, it never crossed my mind for a second. Hey, you know what? Maybe if that was different, things would have gone different for Mike McDaniels. So yeah. I went back and did some research, Chad, and I wanted to – this is the first time me and Chad are talking about this, but I wanted to point it out to him and just get some examples, right, across the league because I found it interesting. Maybe it would have been different, right? We set up Mike McDaniels for failure. So, Chad, I pulled up some trades, recent trades, right? I don't want to go too far back, but –
recent as in how many years? Like what's far back you went?
I went back as 7 years. So within a 7-year time frame, and this is a small sample size. Maybe there's some trades here that are similar to the Tyreek Hill trade that I'm not counting for, but these were the trades that really caught my attention.
All right, let's hear it.
So a trade that really rocked the NFC. They're one of the favorites for Super Bowl contention right now. 49ers trading for Christian McCaffrey.
Yes, sir.
Another trade, the Rams, and they got Jalen Ramsey.
Yep.
Right? They gave a big package to get those guys. Now, the difference is, for those guys, when they traded, for example, when the Rams traded to get Ramsey, they were a playoff team already.
Yep.
They were on the road to take that next step. Same thing with the 49ers. Right before they made that trade, they were a playoff team.
Yep.
So those are success stories there. But when you look at trades that were similar that failed, it's a different story. For example, when the Broncos traded for Russell Wilson,
that
it didn't work out for them. When the Texans traded for Laremy Tunsil, were they a playoff team this season? I didn't check that, but
it was Deshaun Watson. Remember, that was Deshaun Watson year, right? When they traded for Laremy Tunsil because we got the package. They were doing that, if I recall, and again, we got obviously the grandfather of 3 first-round picks for left tackle, which is crazy. But I think they might have been a playoff team. But if you think about it, the Deshaun Watson, which obviously we don't condone any of that, but the Deshaun Watson stuff happened, and I'm almost certain shortly after the pitfall happened, they were bad for a couple years and they drafted C.J. Stroud. Because remember, they were picking number 2.
Yeah.
So they traded for him. They might have been a playoff team, but they didn't go far.
They didn't go far, right? Okay.
No.
They were trying to get over the hump. So look, we'll count that as a wash because you can't really predict that, right? You can't predict that Deshaun Watson was going to be under investigation for what he did. I mean, nobody would have thought, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously the Dolphins getting Tyreek Hill, sending that package, didn't work out.
Yeah.
So if the Dolphins would have done what you said, keeping those picks, developing your own players, there's 2 teams that come to mind that had success.
Okay.
One of which was the Texans. When they traded Deshaun Watson and they got that package, look at where they're at right now. I know we talked about it in the last podcast. That's, in my opinion, the best team in the AFC.
Yep.
And then you also got the Seattle Seahawks. Right? They drafted players with those draft picks, and look at where they're at right now. They're battling with the 49ers. So I say that to say this. You made a great point that last episode. I don't want to repeat the same sins from the previous GM and those decisions that were made. We need to look ahead. What's worked, and you said it, and it's something that I didn't think of. And it's like that shiny new toy, right? You get a Tyreek Hill, and it's like, oh my God, this guy is going to take you over the hump. No, we're nowhere close. We were battling to be relevant. You want to be relevant building through the draft. Not getting a Tyreek Hill and then hoping and praying and, hey, let's supersede this. Let's get this done next year when the proof, it's not there.
Yep.
So what do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, first off, like you said, Juan, this is new. I didn't know what this was going to be. Juan hits me up. He goes, bro, we got to get on the pod. And obviously when we were talking about it, we said this in our first episode, we're big Miami Hurricanes fans. So I thought we were going to talk about Juan's boy Mensah. But now I'm excited because now you got me thinking. So it's funny you say this one. I was on X and I was talking about, I think I retweeted or reposted some video, and it was talking about how this dude said, whatever we do, because obviously we lost out on Harbaugh. And I promise this will make sense here in a minute when I circle it all around. Yeah. But we lost out on Harbaugh. So everyone's like, that was so stupid. We should have kept Mike. But you and I, in our very first recording, which is funny because we actually didn't get to post that because it didn't work out. But we talked about Mike McDaniel, and we were talking specifically about keeping him versus not keeping him. And both you and I at the time were 70-30 keeping him. But as we talked through it, and even after the show, after we recorded, we jumped on the phone and we were like, did we just talk ourselves into Mike McDaniel needing to be gone? Now, the funny part of all of this is we like Mike McDaniel. I think we both believe he's going to have success later on. But this needed to happen. And the reason I mentioned what I said before about we put too much pressure by doing the trades, I use that same argument to say why we didn't fail Mike McDaniel. So let me explain myself. We gave Mike McDaniel the unlimited amount of resources. We gave him an all-pro in Tyreek Hill. We signed Teron Armstead, another all-pro, to shore up the blind side, or the left side, I should say, because Tua is a left-handed quarterback. The next year we trade for Jalen Ramsey, who is an all-pro. We do all of these things, so the expectation is that you're going to win games. The reason I think that it was the argument that was happening on X was we didn't provide Mike McDaniel enough opportunities and this and that. We provided him enough opportunities. The problem is we gave him those opportunities right off the rip. So because of that, the expectation was, well, now you have to win. And we can comfortably say Tyreek Hill can make a lot of people look really good and really smart. And we're not saying that Mike's not this genius, because we believe it. He can scheme, he can do all of these things. But as you were talking, Juan, you mentioned the 49ers, and even before you said it, you said there's a popular team in the NFC. I was like, oh, he's going to talk about Christian McCaffrey. But you said what I was thinking. They were a piece away. I'll go a step further, Juan. Matthew Stafford for Jared Goff and draft picks. Looking back, the Rams went all the way to the NFC Championship. It might even have been it was the Super Bowl, right? No,
Super Bowl, yeah.
Super Bowl with Jared Goff and lost. And Sean McVay said the problem's the quarterback. So they traded everything and they did that one piece and then they win a ring. They also get Jalen Ramsey. They also get Odell Beckham Jr. The difference is Sean McVay, like you alluded to, had an established playoff team and a Super Bowl team that was a piece away. We watched, and I didn't even think of Denver, Juan. Juan, you are in your bag. Denver went all in thinking the same thing, but the setup wasn't great. The difference between all of this, Sean Payton came in to the Russell Wilson experience already. He was a prior Super Bowl winning coach. Mike never even called plays. There was a couple play designs he did and a couple plays he called, but Kyle Shanahan was the play caller in San Francisco, in Atlanta. So my biggest gripe with that was we still don't know if he's a great play caller because of the talent he had. So yes, I believe we both set him up for success. and we set him up for failure. The success part was he was able to win 10 games back-to-back years, and it looked great. High-powered offense, high-flying, but then it all stopped. So my biggest gripe with this is both things can be true. We could have, yes, we set him up for success by providing all of the options. It's like, I put it this way, Juan. Do you like cars?
Absolutely.
Okay. If I gave you on your 16th birthday, when you got your driver's license, let's say you had a permit, right? With a permit, you have someone sitting next to you. They're sitting next to you. They're guiding, making sure you know what you're doing. They kind of give you, think about Mike McDaniel with his permit and Kyle Shanahan's in the passenger seat with the driver's license saying, okay, you got to make your left turn. You got to make your right. Okay, cool. We usually give those type of children, 15-year-olds, beater cars, right? Let them get it messed up. Can you imagine once you turn 16, when you go off by yourself, if you had a fully equipped, fully loaded Lamborghini? You'd go fast, but would you go fast in a straight line? How would you handle going 120 miles an hour and having to make a right turn with no driving experience by yourself? So I look at this situation as we gave Mike McDaniel a Lamborghini, and it was his first day getting his driver's license. Of course, he can press the gas pedal because it has all the horsepower. But the driver, you can drive, but can you control? And I think that's where we failed Mike. We gave him the Lamborghini, which everyone wants, but he wasn't ready for the Lamborghini. He needed something tiers back to be able to guide and drive his way through. And, oh, I know how to make a right turn. I can merge onto the freeway. I can guide my way through traffic. So that's what I think, Juan. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, that's very well said, Chad. The way that you broke that down, I love it. And I know we didn't talk beforehand what this podcast was going to be about. That's on me. I just got excited because, man, you brought up some good points last go around. And what I try to do, Chad, is when I listen to something like that where I didn't think about it before, and it's the first time I hear it, I'm like, wow, that's really good. Let me see if I can make another argument for it. Right. Yeah. So that's where my mind went. Let me go see other teams that have gone through similar situations, that have made these types of trades. And Chad, I thought at the time when you said that, I'm like, man, Chad is so right. I can't believe I didn't think about this before. It solidified it when I went back and I saw the trades. The teams that made those trades were trying to get over the hump. They had been there before. The teams that weren't there before, that were trying to get there, superseding things, just getting there quickly, they failed.
Yeah.
I remember, and to your point, right, you gave the keys to a 16-year-old, and we're comparing Mike McDaniels to that 16-year-old. What is a 16-year-old going to say if you offer him a Lamborghini? Because I remember Chris Greer going up to Mike McDaniels and asking him, hey, Tyreek Hill is available. What do you think?
Give him everything.
Give him everything. Right? So people could say, well, you blame Mike McDaniels because he wanted that trade. Yeah. Well, come on, guys. What is he going to say? Right? Let's be honest. Who says no to getting the cheetah?
Nobody.
So
the Chiefs.
You got to save him from himself at that point.
Yeah. Wow, Juan. See, this is why I like this impromptu pod, because now my brain's going. The brain is rolling, baby. I remember watching that episode of them talking to Mike McDaniel, and he breaks down the trade. He said, I'll never forget it, because he goes, my wife, I was coming home from work early. We're good to go. I was supposed to meet up with her. And then he goes, Chris Greer walks in, and he says, so got off the phone with the Chiefs. Tyreek Hill's an option. He said, give him everything. Give him everything. And he goes, let's temper the break. And he goes, I should probably watch, and this is Mike speaking, I should probably watch some Tyreek Hill film. So he said he started watching just kind of base level stuff. Then he started watching third downs, second downs, first downs, play calls, motions. He goes, here I am 8 hours later, ignoring my wife's calls. She's trying to get a hold of me. I'm supposed to be meeting up with her hours before. And he's like, I'm so excited. He goes, and then I realize we haven't even traded for him yet. So he goes, now I'm thinking of my pitch. I'm thinking of all of these things. And then Chris Greer comes in and he gives me the phone, and I immediately go into sell mode. Like, hey, man, I got this by this. And he said, Tyreek cut him off in the middle and said, hey, bro, I'm already coming. So to your point, that's why I said Mike gave us these moments, man, from shoes and swag and this and that. So like, I love him for that. But to my to what you just said, Juan, who says no to a Lamborghini? Like, nobody. Like, dude, if it's my first car, I get the opportunity to have a Lamborghini. I'm not saying no, but what you made me think about, and I want to ask you, Juan.
Yeah.
Everyone can blame Mike for saying I want it. What does that say about Chris Greer? Where sometimes you got to protect. And the one gripe I always had about Chris Greer, he was like, I want collaboration. And I think we talked about this on the first pod. He said, yeah, all these teams, they called right after he said, man, good guy, you got that pick. Yeah, man, Chris, I don't care that other teams wanted them. I care that you wanted the player. You have conviction, not Mike. Now, the one time he did that, where he stood on a table, Juan, and I'm sure you've heard this story. Brian Flores wanted a different player. Or not Brian Flores, the prior coach wanted, I think it was Adam Gase wanted a different player.
Okay.
Stephen Ross wanted a different player. Chris Greer said, I'm drafting Minkah Fitzpatrick. I'm drafting him. I don't care. It was the one time he said, I'm drafting him. They're like, no, we're going to trade back, blah, blah, blah. All this stuff. We can get Lamar. He said, I'm letting you guys know. I'm the GM. I'm drafting Minkah Fitzpatrick. And here we are, multiple Pro Bowls and all pros later. The one time Chris Greer had conviction for a guy that he wanted, it turned out well. So that's where I feel Chris Greer failed Mike. Yeah. And I felt Chris Greer, he failed several others, because I'm all for collaboration, but you are the head honcho. You got to start showing it.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Chad, let me ask you, what's been the worst team in the NFL for years now?
The Jets?
The Jets. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Right? Again, we didn't talk about this before. No. This is right now. It's happening in the podcast. So what were the two teams battling for Tyreek Hill?
The Jets and the Dolphins.
The Jets and the Dolphins, right? Yeah. Shouldn't that say something? You're giving up all these picks and you're battling, and that's not a knock on Tyreek Hill. It's absolutely not. Man. But you don't have all these other teams like, hey, let's give these 3 first-round picks to get Tyreek Hill. There was a lot of teams that needed a receiver like Tyreek Hill, and it wasn't happening. That's saying something.
Yeah, man. The Packers. I think at that point the Chargers could have been a good option. The Patriots. Wow, Juan. Yeah, look, I'm going to triple down. We did not talk about this prior to the pod. This is literally off the top of our heads. Yeah, that's a great point. And look, I was elated to get Tyreek Hill. Yeah. I can comfortably say that I've never, and you'll learn this as we go through draft, I'm not the speed guy. I'm the old school nuanced route runner, route technician, hands catcher. I could care less if you run a 4-3. Those are the type of players I want. If you wanted to go back as far, I was infatuated with Keenan Allen coming out of Cal Berkeley. Wore 21, was going across the middle, ends up getting drafted in the 3rd round, and I just remember being so hyped. So I'm like, oh, we got a shot. 1st round goes by. Oh, we got a shot. 2nd round goes by. 3rd round comes, and I'm like, here it is. Here it is, Juan. Drafted by the San Diego Chargers. I'm like, okay, of course you miss out on it. But how can you not be excited with the Tyreek Hill? However, and I think you and I talked about this with Sully. John Eric Sullivan. Sorry, guys. I believe in how Green Bay does business. They are trenches quarterback play. They draft receivers historically the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th rounds, 5th rounds. You saw they just drafted Matthew Golden, and that didn't know well. Like, that was the first receiver they had drafted in the 1st round in 20 plus years. So I'm hopeful that because that's where John Eric Sullivan grew through, that's what we're gonna get, man. Where it's a trenches, and we're not trading for the stars. Now, the Packers did something that you just kind of mentioned. They traded for Micah Parsons, right?
Right.
But they traded with Micah Parsons because they had playoff experience. They had been there, and they felt that was the last piece. The downfall is my guy got injured, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
but
and that's why I didn't add him to that scenario, because it's so fresh. He got injured, so we still need time to see if that worked in their favor or not.
We do, but historically, I mean, I guess the team that we can say, and he got like coined for saying this, is the Rams when they did the F them picks, right? But then what did they do right after that one? They reset the books. They won the Super Bowl. Like you were about to say, they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But then they reset their books. They had the 1 year where Matt Stafford got hurt, and then they just completely went back to drafting. And then they hit on second rounders, third rounders, fourth rounders, fifth rounders. Now you have this team, man, that they've built it. They've built it.
To your point, Chad, because Rams said F these picks, but they do something that other teams do not. They find talent in that third, fourth, and fifth round, right? If you're the Dolphins, historically, receivers, you just don't draft well. So it makes more sense for me to go in the first round for a receiver. It's not to say that you can't find talent elsewhere. Now with a new GM, the thought process for me, it's a little bit different. But when you think of the Rams, they have a history, Sean McVay does, of finding these elite receivers in later rounds.
Yeah,
you look at Puka. You look at what's his name? He's in the Seahawks now. He won me in fantasy. Cooper Kupp. Yeah, my guy Cooper Kupp, man. Shout out to Cooper. He won me fantasy.
Let's go.
2021, the
Triple Crown.
So if my boys are listening out there, shout out Cooper Kupp, guys. 2021 fantasy football champ. But they have a history of that, right? The Dolphins do not. They've tried to mimic what the Chiefs have done with Grant and some other receivers that are just not coming to mind. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank right now.
Oh, Jakeem Grant.
Jakeem Grant, yeah.
You're thinking of faster receivers. Yeah. I think, and that's where it's so funny how we go from known as this ground and pound, 3 yards, a cloud of dust with Tony Sperano, and then we get Joe Philbin, where I feel queasy, and then we get Adam Gase, the innovative guy, then we get Brian Flores, where we're a tough team again, but we can't win on offense, and we get Mike McDaniel, and we're the most exciting thing. They said that it was the greatest show on surf instead of turf. But the tried and true teams, Juan, they are constantly winning in the trenches. You'll hear me say this a lot because we look at the run game.
Yeah.
Every time you see playoff football, the way you win in the playoffs is running the football and playing good defense. Tried and true. Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl titles, best offensive line in football. They could run the ball and they could stop the ball on defense. The Eagles last year, they could run the ball. They played good defense. All those Brady years, yes, Brady was clutch, but they could run the ball. They had a great offensive line and they played good defense. The closest the Buffalo Bills got to getting it when they lost to the Chiefs, that was a year they were running the ball. They've always had a top 5 offensive line, and they were playing good defense. And that's where I think us hitting on later draft picks is going to be beneficial. I was thinking about it. Let's go to our Hurricane roots. What would you rank Carson Beck? If Carson Beck's going to be in this draft, what round do you think Carson Beck could realistically get drafted in this draft?
Highest, I would say the 4th round.
Yep. In a weak quarterback draft, Juan.
Yeah.
If he was eligible next year, he might go undrafted.
Yeah.
We are in the national championship. Why?
It's the trenches. The trenches. It reflects, to me, this is just something that I was taught when I played football as a kid. The trenches reflect the attitude of the team. If the trenches are soft, the team is soft.
Yeah. So I get excited with the thought of Jordan Tyson dropping because of medicals. I get excited about Carnell Tate. I get excited about Mekhi Lemon. But then I always go back. Let me even go further. I get excited about Caleb Downs. I'm like, dude, if he's there, take him. I get excited about Sonny Styles, the linebacker from Ohio State. I get excited with all these guys. But I just keep going back to, man, Francis Mauigoa in a Dolphins jersey would hit like crack in the 80s. Yeah. You have that. You have Pat Paul on the left. You have Francis on the right. You have Aaron Brewer in the middle. We get a developmental year of Jonas Avainaya, and then we take another guard or another guard in the second or third round on the right. Now we're cooking with chicken grease. Like, we are cooking. And that's where I'm like, it's not going to be sexy. It's not going to be something where their jerseys are selling, which if you see behind me, that's a Mike Pouncey jersey. I'm a trench guy. So Facts. For me, the trenches is there, like you said. If we can establish the trenches, Juan, if we can build this thing, think back to when the Cowboys drafted Tyron Smith, Travis Frederick. Who is their guard? That's a Pro Bowler every year. Zach Martin.
Zach Martin.
Yeah, Zach Martin. Terrence Steele. They're drafting these guys, and everyone's like, what's Jerry doing? He should have taken a receiver. He should have taken a running back. And he's like, just patience. These teams that invest in the offensive and defensive lines are the ones that last, one. So my hope in this where we failed, let's go back to the topic at hand, where we failed. We never established a healthy trench play. People can say, we brought Connor Williams in. That was a home run. He gets hurt. We brought Tron Armstead in. Home run. Historically hurt. We drafted Austin Jackson. Adequable. Always hurt. Invest in young offensive talent on the line.
Robert Hunt as well.
Dude, was a home run. We don't retain him. We don't retain him. He's in your backyard. And I love what John Eric Sullivan said in that interview we were talking about. He said, typically you don't see good free agent players because good, healthy, developed players stay with their home team. They do it. You invest in it because you're, one, going to get a better contract, because free agency is like a 30% increase on what you could get by taking them home. And if we can just flip that curse, bro, I'm going to feel real good, brother. I need it. I need it.
Let me ask you, Chad, because I know you mentioned it may not look the sexiest, right? But the trenches, that's where it's at. If we look at the NFL playoffs right now, you're looking at the teams that have the best trenches. I think that's fair to say. I don't think nobody's left out.
You have the Bills. They have always a good offensive line. The Texans, that's the one you could argue, but their defense, exactly, elite. The Patriots, great offensive line. The Broncos, great offensive line, elite defense. Who are we? Oh, the Bears invested in the entire offensive line this offseason. Killing it. The Rams invested in the offensive line. All of these teams in the playoffs have invested in the trenches. And rightfully so. That's how you win. Get you a good quarterback, but before you get the prize, give him a line. Look at the difference between Jaden Daniels and Cam Ward. Jaden Daniels had an offensive line protecting him. Cam Ward was running for his life, making chicken salad out of you-know-what. I bet you they get... brother, I bet you they get you an offensive line this year. And watch what Cam does. If you give Jackson Dart an offensive line that's healthy, because they have players there, but they can't stay healthy, watch what happens. So that's where I'm at, brother. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, and Jackson Dart, man, that kid balled out, man. He did great. We talked about it last podcast. We expected Harbaugh. Baby. This was before the news broke out. We expected Harbaugh to pick the Giants, right? It just made too much sense. You got Neighbors, you got Scatterbo, you got Jackson Dart. You got some great players on the defensive side of the ball. It just made too much sense. So
the Mars are great owners. Yeah, the Mars are incredible owners. You have all of it, brother. You have all of it. Before we go into another topic, Juan, we got to bring a little Kane stuff in here. Because I got to give my boy a shout out. Everybody was worried about Mario Cristobal. In fact, Juan, you texted me yesterday and said, Chad, brother, I'm stressing. So what's going on? The portal's closing soon, bro. What are we going to do? And my first message was, bro, I watched Cam Ward declare for the draft and come back. I watched us sign Carson Beck. I trusted Mario. You're like, bro, we only have one day. And I was like, okay, well, if we're stuck, we have Emory Williams. I don't love it, but he's had experience. He's had this. And you said, bro, I can't. If Emory starts on my Canes team, I'm done. And literally, we talked through it. We both agreed Darian Coleman's the future, but he's not ready. Luke Nickel, by all accounts, everyone's saying he hasn't looked great. And Juan, what did we hear about today? What happened today?
So what we heard today was that the future Miami Dolphin himself, Darian Mensah, hit the portal, and all signs are pointing to him going to the Miami Hurricanes.
Come on, baby.
It's just meant to be. I knew he was destined to play in Miami this year. I thought it was the Dolphins, but it's going to be the Hurricanes first. That's okay. That's going to be a stepping stone. You know, just get comfortable. Find the house that you like over here. You don't have to lease. You're going to stay here in Miami.
Hey, major shout outs to Juan. My man has been on Darian Mensah, bro, for the entire year. He's like, Chad, there's something about him. And like he just said, it was because he wanted him to be the Dolphins quarterback. When he came back, he's like, oh, it's all right. It'll be fine. But Juan called it. Juan said, this is my guy. And he's going to be in Miami. Apparently, he has to just see the iguanas fall from the trees. Because when y'all get cold, this is the warm-up. No pun. This is the warm-up for him to get ready, because we're not going to suck next year enough to get Arch Manning and Dante Moore and all these other ones. So Mensah will do. But, dude, major props. Mario, especially when he signs on the dotted line, Mario has my trust. This man busted out the loafers, the black loafers. He's toe-stepping, stomping into houses. He's getting them, Juan. He's coming up and saying, why would you not? What did Signetti said? He said, I win. He said, Google me.
Google me, I win.
He said, Google me, I win. Google the recruiting trail for Mario Cristobal, people. Google it. Watch it. At 5 and 7, Ruben Bain, Francis Mauigoa, Samson Okunlola, all of them committed. Google him. So in Mario, we trust. We are literally in prep. In 3 days, we're going to play in a national championship. Get Darian Mensah over here and let him be on the sideline and watch what is about to happen so he can get that feeling and bring us back next year.
Absolutely. I'm with it 100%. So I'm as big of a Canes fan as I am a Dolphin fan, and this has me pumped. I'm excited. We talked about the formula for success when it comes to winning in the NFL, and it's drafting not just good players that have high moral character, but also that come from a winning program. So when you talk about somebody like Francis Mauigoa, it's easy to look at him now and say, wow, this guy's a beast, right? He's playing for the Hurricanes. Look at where they're at. But when he joined the Hurricanes, where were they? We were losing to Middle Tennessee. We were losing to FIU. We were in a dogfight against the worst of the worst in the ACC. You want guys like that.
Yeah.
But, not front runners, right? So I really like what I'm seeing from the Hurricanes, and it's all relevant, right? Because when you have a winning program like that, you know that drafting those players, you're getting something that you got before with those old school Canes. That how many years was it in a row that we saw a Hurricane player in the Super Bowl? It stopped. I think it was like 30-something years. If I'm off, I'm not off by that much. Yeah. Well, that's coming back again, 100%. Right? So when you draft the Kane player, you know you're going to get success, and that's what
Yep.
you're getting when you have somebody like Mario Cristobal in the helm. So I'm excited, man. I'm pumped. If we don't get Francis Magnolia, I don't think Ruben Bain is going to fall, although I did see some mock drafts where they have him in the 13, 14, 15 round, 15 overall pick in the first round.
All measurables.
Yeah. I mean, that's ridiculous. But hey, if somebody messes up, you said it yourself, they messed up with Keenan Allen. You just never know. You got to be prepared for
They messed up with
like
Aaron
that.
Donald.
They messed up with Aaron Donald, right?
Yeah.
Arguably the best defensive tackle next to
JJ Watt. So. Bro, you have JJ Watt. Like, I think, Juan, what a point, man. And remember, Aaron Donald wrecked the Senior Bowl. People couldn't guard him, or like people could not stop him. I have a feeling if Ruben Bain decides to go to the Senior Bowl, he'll do the same thing. I told you, if we can finish the draft with 3 Canes, unbiased, I'm on cloud 9. I would love it to be Francis. I would love it to be Keontae Scott. And I would love it to be CJ Daniels. You give me those 3, and I'm partial. We need a safety. Give me Jacoby Thomas, and we are cooking with gas, baby. I need it.
If you have the option between Jacoby Thomas and CJ Daniels, I know you said 3. Which one would you take?
Did I get Elijah Surratt in the second round?
I mean,
did I?
If he's there and we got him, yeah, I guess that we stick with Jacoby.
I'll do that. If I can go Francis in the first, Elijah Surratt in the second, and Keontae Scott in the third, and Jacoby Thomas in the late third or the early fourth. CJ,
Fire.
Love you, baby, but we don't need it. We don't
Fire.
need it. Jacoby's gonna be Cam Kitchens.
You think so?
Jacoby, he's gonna be. I think he's a different type of player, but I say that because I was so high on Cam Kitchens, and the Rams did what the Rams do. Took him in the third round. Balls out. He's a baller now. Hearing Jacoby Thomas talk about Sean Taylor and like what it means to be a safety in the Canes, brother, that's what I want. I'm going to go throwback. I hate that Vince Wilfork hates the Dolphins. I hate it. One of the greatest Canes, he can't stand the Dolphins because he became a Patriot.
Yeah.
We've got to stop letting these dogs from the Canes go to other places. Keep them at the crib. We get a front row center. And I don't know if you saw, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. If you have your computer in front of you, Google it. We just got on Sully's staff a former Canes offensive line in the front office. Like as one of his assistants. One of Sully's assistants that he brought on as a scout was a former Canes offensive lineman.
Really?
Yeah, look it up.
Okay.
Crazy, bro. So we get the pro day, we get the in-state pro day. So for those that don't know, you can do an in-state pro day, and it's a second look as long as you're there. So in Miami, we get to see Florida State, Florida, and Miami multiple times and multiple touch points because they play in Florida. So we're going to get to see all that. Do not let other teams reap the benefits of having a Miami Hurricane on their team when they're right in your backyard. And one, our positions of need, right guard / right tackle, safety, receiver, corner, and another edge. I'm seeing the Akeem Mesidor finally getting the love he deserves. If he wasn't going to be 25 years old when the draft started, he would be a bona fide first rounder. Yeah. But they drafted a mock that was like 2 days ago, and he was in the back end of the first round. I think at the end of the day he'll end up in the late first or the early second. But brother, we're talking 3 Hurricane players that are going to be first rounders potentially, multiple second rounders and third rounders, and then fourth and fifth rounders all day. Like, dude, we could have 8 guys drafted. Because think about it. Francis, Ruben Bain, Keontae Scott, Jacoby Thomas, CJ Daniels, Akeem Mesidor, Ahmad Moten. That's 7. Who am I missing?
Inez Cooper?
Inez Cooper, 8. Markel Bell,
Markel
9.
Bell, yeah. I believe Moden is going to come back. I'm not sure. That's what I heard.
You heard
but
that?
Even if you remove Moden, that's still 8.
Yeah, because they for those in the national championship, they get extra time to decide if they're going to declare or not.
Yeah,
we already know Francis is because he did the senior night, so we know he'll be there. Ruben Bay did senior night as well, so we know that they're obviously both going to go. But yeah, that's 8 players. You're talking 8, potentially 9 players getting drafted. That's big time for our Canes, man. So I'm excited for it, man. I just had to bring it up because Mensa's your guy. Bro, you talk that talk, bro. If I don't get some kind of video like this where Juan is hyped once it happens, I'm gonna be. You missed it. You missed the opportunity, brother.
Hey, listen. If it works out, I'm hoping it does. I'm gonna be so pumped because I have been wrong with these quarterbacks before. But again, back to the previous podcast, I was focused on the measurables. I was focused on things that really you can't measure, right? Yeah. And it just goes back to that conversation that we had with Tom Brady, where you can't measure that heart, right? In a sense, you can. In the fourth quarter, the completion percentage, game-winning drives, that's what really catches my attention. So when I looked at Fernando Mendoza and I looked at the highlights, I was like, man, a lot of these highlights are coming in the fourth quarter. I saw the same thing with Therian Mensah. That's what caught my attention more than anything else, if I'm being honest, right? Okay. Because I would go to Sam Levitt, and I'm like, man, Sam Levitt, he's number 1. He's a 5-star. You never heard me mention Sam Levitt.
Nope.
When it came down to winning time, sometimes he got a little bit too happy on the feet, clean pocket, and he's breaking out on the run.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But you look at Therian Mensah, and he stood there. He didn't have the best offensive line when he played at Duke. As a matter of fact, the year before, Duke had the worst offensive line in the ACC. You can look it up. I mean, I don't know where they were ranked this year, but I don't think they were that much better. It takes more than just 1 year to get good. So that's a testament to Therian Mensah because he's not a big runner. He would stand there in the pocket, get these big hits in the fourth quarter when the game mattered the most, and make the plays.
Yeah.
I did also want to bring this up. A cool story. I don't know if you know, Chad, or if you heard of this, but Keontae Scott, this is probably my favorite Cane right next to CeCe Malagnoa in this draft, right? We talked about him at length. 100%. This kid playing that nickel corner position, he looks like a defensive end, linebacker, corner, all in one. When he came to Miami and he saw those rafters and he saw the name Sean Taylor and the history, he felt a sense of, hey, you know what? These guys were here before. I got to do my part. And it wasn't just showing up to practice and going through the motions, right? And saying, hey, I bust my butt because I stayed 30 minutes later than everybody else and I got here 30 minutes earlier than everybody else. He did more than that, right?
Slept at the facility.
Slept at the facility. That is dedication right there. You want players that love the sport. Football's hard, man. It's a very difficult sport. And it's extremely hard here in Miami, right? Chad, I know you're in Arizona. It's hard anywhere. But when you feel that summer heat on those 2-a-day practices, man, and you got those shells on you, and you got these people weighing down on you, right? You're trying to get off the block, and you're playing the nickel cornerback position, and you're facing up against these dogs, right, in practice with that Miami Hurricane offensive line.
Yeah.
And you just want to go home afterwards. I mean, I'm speaking for myself. You're just trying to put myself in his position.
Yeah.
I could just imagine. I'm like, dude, I love football, but I want to go home after that. Where does he go? Back to the practice facility. He has his bed there, laying down, just waiting to get up for the next day to do it all over again. That's dedication right there, man. And it's not just a cool story where you say, wow, he did that, but the proof is in the pudding. Look at the performance. Look, we wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for that kid.
Come on.
To be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could say, if you remove... I want to be careful of what I say here because I don't want to exaggerate this. let me not say what I'm going to say. I was going to say, if you remove Ruben Bain, we'll probably still be here. But let me be careful because that's Hurricane Bain right there.
Yeah.
I'm taking it too far.
Yeah.
I'm taking it too far. Taking it too far.
Don't get canceled, Juan.
No. We just started this podcast and I'm already going in the wrong direction over here. But you know what I'm trying to say. This kid, you did not predict this kid was going to be what he was this season, right? And what he needed was just to be put in the right system. So I'm really eager to see who that next head coach is going to be and implement a similar system with these Dolphins, right? Get these high character players that love the game of football, not these players that you give up the house for that show up 30 minutes late to practice because they had to take their kid to a pool party. No, man.
Tyreek, man. Freaking Tyreek.
Yeah. No, you need leaders out here.
Yeah, you know what, Juan? I love where your mind is at, and I think it's so cool because we see it the same way. Literally, bro, I know we're going against him. I love Signetti from Indiana. If I wish it wasn't Indiana because my boy Fernando Mendoza, as you know how much I love him, and then Signetti, but he said I recruit production over potential. Yep. Potential gets you fired. Guess what makes players productive? Commitment, dedication, and work. And to your point, having that, because Malachi Tony also would stay the night over at the facility and kind of follow Keontae Scott's. You get those high character guys that produce and they want nothing more than to change. I mean, dude, I was at the Fiesta Bowl, as you know, and the last players off that field that were soaking in, Francis Mauigoa, Ruben Bain, Malachi Tony, Jacoby Thomas, Keontae Scott, the leaders, man. Like, these leaders. And again, you know, both you and I aren't high on Carson Beck, but what he was able to do and perform, those are things those are deposits, right? Those are the things, those are those heart deposits that players are making that make a difference on a team. He may not be the best, but to your point, you said this either on the first or the second show we did. The margin for wins and losses in the NFL is this. Typically, they're not blowouts. We watched Cleveland. You heard what I said about Stefanski. They lost 6 games by 7 or less. That or less, where you're getting over the hump, is that player in the fourth quarter that did the two-a-days, stayed after. That guy that did the extra rep in the weight room. The guy that instead, especially in Miami, a place where you can literally go party and do all this stuff, stayed at home and they did the extra work in the playbook. Now, again, we can't compare our jobs because we're not working our jobs after hours, but we have to at points, right? But they're playing a child's game. They're playing their dream, and they're living it, and then they're dedicating and putting more into it. And that's what I'm hoping this culture shift happens, which the last thing I want to talk to you about, Juan, because I know we're going to close shop here in a minute. Harbaugh's gone. Matt LaFleur still has a job. The betting favorite right now is Jeff Hafley. They're saying Stefanski's all but buttoned up to go to either Tennessee or Atlanta, even though they're also saying Clint Kubiak's going to go to Atlanta because of the Josh Williams connections, because they're going to bring him on and the Matt Ryan and all that. Not what you think's going to happen. Where are you at from a head coach perspective? I know we talked about this on the last pod, but has anything changed? Or are you still Chris Shula or bust?
So I want to answer this question, but then also just bring something up just really quick because
please.
I know we're at the end here. I'm gonna have an open mind. If I was the GM, I would say Chris Shula, right? That's the guy that I want, right? The McVay, coming from Sean McVay and that Kyle Shanahan tree. I just want to continue to make my picks from there because they've had the most success, right? So that's where I want to go. But I trust our new GM. I'm going to keep an open mind and see where it goes. Okay. I did want to make a quick point because you touched on this with Signetti, where his focus is on production over potential, right? And you want players that execute. And you touched on Carson Beck. Yeah, we're not high on him, and rightfully so. You know, he's made his mistakes. he just can't be the reason that the Hurricanes lose. Just play smart, play it safe. And it goes back to, and I hate mentioning this, but the Patriot way, where everybody does their job. If you look at the Dolphins this season, right, nobody needed to be the hero, in my opinion. Just do your part. How many games did we lose this season because players didn't execute? They were selfish. You could point to the first Bills game, that roughing the punter. You could point to Jalen Phillips.
Sealer. Yeah. The Chargers, Jalen Phillips with missing the sack, right?
The first game against the Patriots, we're in the red zone, and then it was 3 false starts in a row, something crazy like that, where we just everything just went south. So I want a coach that's focused on that because, man, it sucks we're here at the end, but at least we have a topic for our next podcast.
Yeah.
Right? Focus on production, players that are unselfish, because again, the game, it's a game of inches, man. One play could really determine the outcome of the game. So I really like the way that Chris Shula coaches up. That's why I like him. If you look at the stats, he doesn't have all these stars on the defensive side of the ball, and they're a top 10 defense. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Imagine if he had more talent. Yeah. So I see the potential with him, and as of right now, that's my guy. If the GM decides to go elsewhere, hey, I'm going to keep an open mind. But if I was the GM, Chris Shula all day.
I love it. Yeah, Kevin Stefanski is the one that it is for me, but similar to you, I have an open mind. I need to get around Jeff Hafley because it's funny when every team has requested him. And the early rumor is if LaFleur does get fired, they're going to keep Hafley. So there's clearly something there. And I need to listen to his press conferences. When I do my draft breakdowns, I go back and watch their press conferences because I want to hear them. I want to hear them speak. I want to hear how they articulate. I want to hear their responses. I want to hear them after a loss. I want to hear them after a win. The same thing for a coordinator. I want to see how is Hafley saying, well, is he making excuses like, oh, I don't have Micah Parsons? Is he making excuses saying, oh, Xavier McKinney's hurt? Is he making it like, where are they at? Is Chris Schuler going out there and saying, well, I don't have enough talent? Anthony Weaver finally made a comment saying, for next year, this was before Mike got fired, I would like to have my players before August. Please. Other than that, he said, we're ready. Because at the end of the day, these are professional athletes. So similar to you, I think Stefanski, what he's been able to do, but I'm open to Chris Shula. I'm open to Clint Kubiak. I'm open to give me anyone but Vance Joseph.
Yeah, I don't see it with Vance Joseph.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm alone there. Well, I mean, I know you're saying that too, but are we alone there? Dude, we put up 70-something points against him, dude. That's always going to be there in my mind.
And to his credit, he turned around the Denver's, other than the Texans, the best defense in football. And they have dogs, but like they're not like they're bringing people in. So I see it. I think it's the bitterness of remembering him as a Dolphins coordinator. Right. But I'm just like, I can't see it. And I truly want fresh blood. The reason I think, and I'm thinking about it right now, Juan. The reason I don't think I want Hafley is because it would be that whole, well, he brought him from Green Bay. They come from Green Bay. They're like, I just want the best candidate.
Absolutely.
I don't want your buddy. I don't want him because you're familiar with him. I get there's an inside track. You know more than we know. But like, I want the best candidate that in the interview room, the whole room said, that's the guy. Yeah. I want that because I think they did that with the GM search. If they wanted Harbaugh, they had a better chance by bringing in Chad Alexander from the Chargers. That was the shot. But Stephen Ross took a step back and said, who's the guy that's the best? And when he brought out the statement, he said, we had an array of GM candidates that were very sought after. And that's not a lie. This was an incredible GM pool. And he said, even in that pool, it was Sully that stood out the most. John Eric Sullivan stood out. So he hired the best. And dude, I'm I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm drinking hopium. But that little clip I saw of John Eric Sullivan, where they literally were talking to him, and he said, "What's your philosophy?" And he said, "Win."
Yeah, that's it. That's what you want to hear. And it's not even about drinking the Kool-Aid, because you could live with, okay, if it didn't work out, at least you did your due diligence, right?
Yeah, man.
You got the best guy, and that's what you want. It's not always going to work out, but you did your homework. Just because you do all the right things doesn't mean the right outcome or the best outcome, the one that you want is going to happen. Yeah. But you can live with that.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
So, I mean, and just to add to that, Stefanski, I'm good with Stefanski as well. The reason I didn't bring him up, Chad, is because I heard the same thing you heard. He's rumored to be going to the Falcons. I don't know if it's true. That's that's what I said.
And I think they said it was whoever didn't get Harbaugh was going to get him, and the three teams that were the most attached to Harbaugh were Atlanta, Tennessee, and the Giants. Well, if Atlanta goes Kubiak, then the belief is that Tennessee is going to take Stefanski, but they're also really, I mean, they're the betting favorites, I believe, for Tennessee's Matt Nagy. So if we're in a world where Matt Nagy goes to Tennessee and Kubiak goes to Atlanta, I mean, that it's wide open for us. But I'm going to trust John Eric Sullivan. If he thinks Jeff Hafley's the top guy, I got to believe him. And I'm going to be invested. I'm the guy that, again, I didn't want Austin Jackson. I root for him. I didn't want Ryan Tannehill. I root for him. So once you put that aqua and orange on, I'm in. So
absolutely,
I'll be a realist, and we'll talk about it on the pod. We'll probably, when we finally hire, it'll be a breaking episode. But I do love that we've brought in so many guys, and we didn't even talk about it. I think Robert Saleh is going to be great in his second round. I think we talked about it on the other pod. He went to the Jets, historically terrible. I would love Robert Saleh, but I would want to make sure a good OC came with him.
Yeah,
I'd love Chris Shula. I'd want to make sure that a good OC came with him. Yeah. I believe we brought in, 8 defensive guys and 3 offensive guys, I think, out of all the coaches, right? Like that was the number.
To be honest with you.
I think so. Chris Shula, Robert Saleh, Saleh.
Campanelli.
Yeah, Anthony Campanelli, that's another one that's defense. Stefanski's offense, Kubiak's offense. Who did they announce already? Or maybe it's 8. Maybe it's 5 and 3 that are predominantly ones that are like yet to, because the official ones are the ones we just named.
Jeff Hafley, we were just talking about him. That's another defense. Yeah.
Hafley, Campanelli, Chris Shula.
Jesse Minter.
I would love that. That's 4. Who was the 5th one?
Did you say Robert Saleh?
Robert Saleh, yeah. 5. So those are the 5 defense.
Joe Brady's
offense. So that's 6. And then Stefanski's offense. And then, Kelvin Shepard, he's defense. There was another defensive one. All I know is it was significantly more defense than it was offense. And I don't hate that. I just want to make sure that if we're bringing these guys over, that they have a good plan in place. But I really want a former head coach because he had experience. And this is where I got to give Hafley credit. He was, and we talked about this on the pod, he did head coach at Boston College. So he at least has that in his back pocket. Right. He's not a former NFL coach, but he was a head coach in a program like Boston College that has not been historically great for a long time. So it's not like he went to a blue blood program like Bama, Ohio State, LSU, Michigan, any of those ones. So,
yeah, and then that's fine. Listen, as you were talking, I got confused there for a second. I thought for a second that you said that we were interviewing Matt Nagy and he was going to come here. I was like, wait, no, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. No, I'm not on board anymore. I'm out.
That's the Titans, bro. I'm out. Don't get me. No. Trust me.
No.
Yeah, so Matt Nagy, Vance Joseph, I'm good. I'm good, man. I'm good, but I don't think we will. I'm going to do this one. This is what's going to happen. I'm going to talk myself into wanting a first-timer again. And I didn't want to do that one. But this is why I want to do it one. Walk with me. First time GM, first time head coach, bring in your quarterback. You're all in the same thing. It's all new. You all learn together. And then we can say that we brought in our McVay. We can say we brought in our LaFleur. We can say we brought in our Ben Johnson. See, Juan, why does this happen?
It's positive thinking. You know, Ben Johnson, first-time head coach. John Harbaugh was a first-time head coach at one point, too. McDonald and the Seahawks.
Yeah, Liam Cohen with the Jags.
Liam Cohen, Kyle Shanahan. He's only been the head coach of the 49ers. You know,
Mike Tomlin was a first-time head coach.
Tomlin,
yeah.
You know.
I know, man. I know, but needless to say, we're going to be excited for whatever happens. Unless it's Matt Nagy or Vance Joseph.
No. I am going to dedicate this podcast to firing Stephen Ross. I don't even know if you could fire him, but to just advocate for him selling the team, right? Yeah. If we do that.
Whatever you do for the art, bro, if it has any of our reactions, if we hire one of those, it better be something like,
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh man, anything else, Juan?
No, brother. I think this was successful. Hope the listeners enjoyed what we had for you today. So just out of the blue, we were very excited to talk about what we talked about. So, keep listening to us. As always, it's for the fans, by the fans, to the fans.